Hi guys, it's your two poly chicks again, Tiffany and Cindy.
Hi
And
guys.
during this month of love and Black
Mhm.
History, we have a special guest. We have Devon, who's one of my most, he's actually my oldest friend. Now that I think about it, he's one of my oldest or
Mhm.
the oldest friend. I've known him over 30 years, and he's a single dad to a wonderful young lady named Devon.
Mhm.
Of course, he's a sports guru, just like most guys. He's a
Mhm.
comic book and a superhero aficionado. That's who corrected me on that Black Panther thing that I said. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
so hey, Dev, how are you?
Hey, ladies, how are you? And
Hi,
everything is
Good,
great.
Devon.
good, good.
Hi.
So we're
Nice.
gonna be talking about the reason Dev is on today is we're gonna be talking about love, dating, and certain aspects of that. So we wanted to get the male point of view, and he's a male, and we
And
trust.
he has a view. And he has a
Yeah,
view.
he has
Yes,
a
I
point of
do.
view. So when it comes to dating, I
Mhm.
mean, I've been out of the dating scene for a few years. A few years. I know David hates when I forget. It's been a few years since '07. I'll say
Guys,
officially.
wait. Guys, a few years is 3.
Okay, I've
And
been
she's been
officially.
married like, I don't know, 12, 15. But a few years is 3. So David,
I've, you know what? I've been officially out of the dating scene, out of the dating world since '07. But I'll say the game doesn't change. People and players do, but the game doesn't change. So I still know about dating, okay? All right.
Well,
you made him have to
sounds good.
sit.
Sounds good. Sounds interesting. Okay.
You made him have to sip. He had to
I'm
sip
like,
on that one.
Oh my
for
God.
all men,
But
for all men, I'm just gonna sip.
oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to get some water too, and then I'm gonna have to do some explaining, like Lucy. You know, like, well, how many years? I mean, I've been officially out of the dating arena since '07. Let's say '07. You know, I've been off the
Okay.
block, off the block. So the characteristics, I know what characteristics make for a good partner. I mean, that
Mhm.
shouldn't change. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on the person. In my view, some of the characteristics are compassion. They have to have a concern for your well-being.
Mhm.
Similar interests, like we both like sports, so things of that nature. And the most important thing to me is they have to be sane. So
That to be. You said sane.
Saint.
sane.
Not
That's
Wait,
no,
wait,
well,
wait.
not
You said saved or sane?
sane. SANE. The opposite of insane. That's really important to be sane because
Nowadays,
I've
yes.
dated.
Nowadays, that's starting to show in a lot of things.
yeah.
I was gonna
I
say,
think with that is always that there's a level. Everyone has a certain level that they can tolerate. You just
yeah,
got to meet the person
yeah.
that doesn't exceed your level of insanity.
Hmm.
Like you, sometimes you're a little too crazy. Up, you just crazy enough.
Yeah, yeah, and
well,
that's exactly it. I like
well,
that.
you know they say crazy no crazy. So if you calling somebody crazy, it might be you that's crazy.
That
Well,
is
you know,
true.
I just want somebody that has you know what, forget you know what, I'm married, so I can't even say I want
Exactly,
somebody.
exactly.
You know, the person which in my opinion the good characteristics would have to be having their sanity, or like Dev said, the right amount of insanity.
Right,
So what do you
right.
guys think? What makes for a good partner, and why does it seem like there's no quote unquote good partners out there? Because I've heard that from a lot of single friends. I mean, like I said, I'm not looking, but I've heard a lot of single friends, male and female, say there's not really a lot of good ones. So what's the characteristics that people usually look for, and why does it seem like there's not a lot of good ones left? Whoever wants to go first, jump right in.
Ladies first.
um, Characteristics I think that should stand the test of time are the same ones that have always been around, and maybe we don't hold to it, but I think strong, for me, I think strong, intellectually strong, as well as emotionally strong, which kind of leads into what you were saying about sane, because that's, it's similar, because I think, I need somebody that's strong, that can handle stress, that can handle challenges, that can handle whatever's going on. I absolutely, for me, politically aware,
Okay.
A worldview, have a worldview, not just passing life by and, in a little bubble. Funny, responsible, self-reliant is absolutely for me. You have to be able to take care of yourself and take care of your things. Health conscious, to
Let me
be,
write all this down.
and of course, there's some that's like, I don't know, it's so obvious, but like your integrity has to be up there, like the lying, cheating, that kind of stuff, dishonesty, having there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about, how the person's name is in the street. So what do people say about you? Oh, there's that guy again. He borrowed money from me. He's always whatever, so it's all those kind of things. And for me, you got to be able to get a few tests. You got to be able to get your herpes, HIV,
Oh my
all
God.
Yep. So a good
Yeah,
character.
but I was going to say that's not part of the characteristics. That's
It's
part
not
of
good. It's not. But if
That should be
I'm
bare,
not even
that should be the bare
considering,
necessities.
I'm not
Yeah.
even considering your characteristics until I deal with the basics of that. How are you? Are you fit as a person to even be with? And then I might go, okay, you seem nice, because that's what happens. I think we fall in love and all that first, and then we start asking about the important questions. I want the important questions first, and then I'll fall in love.
Well, and that's what Dev was just saying. He said that should be like the bare necessity to be
Yeah.
STD free, I guess. And just
You'd
to
be
have,
surprised how many people don't check for that though. That comes after. I found out later. Yeah, because you didn't find out before.
oh man. Yeah. So I mean, Dev, you date females, so you would have
Well,
well, I don't know if it's going to be the same type of view.
a lot of it is the same. A lot of it is the same, but a lot of it, when it with men, it's more like a woman that's feminine, a woman that knows her femininity, a woman that's not combative. Like a man doesn't. No one wants to come home and you're kind of fighting against the world to go home and to fight against your spouse. You want someone that you can, you kind of just, you can gel with. Someone that's, people say things have to be evenly yoked. I don't think things have to be evenly yoked. I just think you have to be like just compatible and have a mutual understanding and respect. Because if you're married or dating, you're older, you have a life of experience and you have a life of relationships. And you'll have to know, what's the things that trigger you, what hurts you, because hurt people will take time out to hurt other people. So if you have to know yourself as a person before you can jump into a relationship and before you can jump into a marriage, because a lot of people jump from a relationship to a relationship to a relationship, but never take time to really know themselves. Because once you know yourself, then it's easier for you to express to someone, well, these are the things that I want, because I know the stuff that it's not basically, you don't want to basically go with well, I don't want a guy to bust me in the head and I don't want a woman to stab me. That should be the basic. You should basically not want nobody to hurt you.
Yeah.
But you don't want someone to emotionally hurt you. And if you have kids, because a lot of times when we're older, we're bringing kids into a relationship. You want to see how they are as a parent, because I've met people that were great people, but when you saw them parenting, they weren't the best parents. So if you're not a good parent, but you're a great person, there's a disconnect, and that will sometime appear in the relationship. And if the person is in a relationship, what's their relationship like with the person that they had a kid with? Because that will bring a level of toxicity to the relationship. If it's not properly channeled, if the relationship you have outside of it is everyone kind of good, then your relationship can kind of fall suit. But if you got some toxic stuff going on here and you're trying to build something here, you say, well, that's not going to bother my relationship. It is going to bother it in some way. And that's just a relationship, not even saying if you're going to add a family, you're going to build your family. We're not even going to building a family with a person outside of a toxic relationship with their ex-spouse, with family. Those things hold true. So the older we are, the more we kind of got to look at those things.
Yeah, and I mean that falls in line with, and that can go for, like you said, older people with kids. That goes for
Mhm.
younger people with kids too. Like it just overall, when you think about it, when you come into a relationship, you're thinking about, if you have kids, it's so many different facets of it. If you have kids, that child in most instances is the most important thing to you. So when you have a kid, you want to make sure that that person you're dating is going to treat your kid the way you would want them to be treated. So
Right.
that's an important, I like that point too. So, and I know somebody touched on the feminine thing too. I know
Yeah.
Cindy and I had a conversation about that.
Yeah. There was a woman that wrote an art. She's doing a PhD. I don't know if it was an article or whatever. She did a PhD on in a study, and she was saying that as what's happening with Black relationships is that the men that came out of jail, statistically, Black males in jail, when they come out, they have been feminine. They're turning, and I see it where I live. I don't know about where anybody else lives. Don't come to me asking me no extra questions. But I see, this feminine, the men have this feminine thing. And then, of course, the angry Black woman gets portrayed as the angry Black woman. So when you have those role shifts, what she was saying in her study found was that women, the roles are reversed, and the women, it's a lot of controversy and a lot of strife within the relationship. And from a lot of the videos that I see Black males making these videos, they're like, oh, it's the Black woman. It's the Black woman. She's out of place. It's the Black woman. She's out of place. She's alpha and that. But I'm like, well, everybody seems to be out of place to me. It's not Black women that are out of place. We're all in general, the family structure is broken, period.
It's out of place.
So yeah,
Everything.
so
okay.
When you see a lot of roles, you see a lot of role reversals of women being more aggressive, and then the man is, more passive and just letting things go. And so the relationships get broken. Who knows? It's the chicken or the egg. Who knows which one happened first? Who knows?
And I was gonna say that because I was gonna say, when it comes to feminine masculinity or masculine femininity, it's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, you have the role reversal, you have gender roles have changed when you had the mass incarceration, the war on drugs, the some
male
destiny.
not in the household, the man is not in the household to help raise boys. You see a lot of what they call mama's boys. The man is not in the household, and so the woman is raising him. She raises him a little more, as they say, feminine, more reliant on mommy. So I don't know. Who knows what the problem is?
Well, I'll go ahead, Jeff, because I was going to say, when it comes to what I was thinking, when it comes based on like, there's some men that are just feminine in nature, like, they call them metro, and then there's some women that are just masculine in nature, and I don't know if that's just by design or by force or whatever. But what do you think, Dev? And I think I'm sorry to say this one more thing. I do think that it does throw the whole structure of
everybody's out of place. Everybody.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate, there's a lot of people pointing fingers. It's you, it's the woman, it's the this. She wants this, he wants that. Everybody's just out of place. Everybody's out of place.
I mean, in my observation of it has a lot. They say, like, the prison industrial system. The prison industrial system with Black people are, the numbers speak for themselves. But the problem, even with the prison industrial system, 80 to 90% of the people in prison industrial system are from single homes. So that's an issue. Like, those are issues. Like, are the men leaving the homes? Are the women don't want the men in the homes? Those things hold true to, like, if a woman is raising kids by herself, she's going to raise her daughters to be strong, because you can't depend on whoever that person's supposed to be there. Like just like if you read the book, the Willie Lynch letter, you make boys physically strong but emotionally weak. Yeah. Men now are emotionally, because we're raised we're physically strong, but we're getting feminine energy. We're getting the energy from our mothers, but not necessarily from our fathers. So when women get older and they're meeting men that take on more of a traditional role as a man, it's foreign. Because when you're in the work, and when women are in the workplace, they're you're in a almost a combative work mentality. So it's like a mano thing. But then when you're in a relationship, it becomes a mano thing. So it's like, but then when these guys meet women like that, it falls right in suit because the guys are dating women just like their mothers. And if their mothers are hyper aggressive, the women they date are hyper aggressive. But then the women are dating these guys and they're like, okay, I'm with them. Or just like you said, the guys in the prison, in the prison system that's coming out. These guys are hyper aggressive. They're like, you look at them wrong, they're ready to fight at a drop of a dime. But emotionally, they're weaker. You know, just like with a woman, like, okay, there's women like, I want to be soft. I want to be a woman. I want to be loved. But at that same time, the world is teaching me I got to ball my fist all the time. So you have that an unevenness. And then when the woman like that meets a guy that's not what they're traditionally used to being with, then it's like, okay, this isn't working. All these women are like that. Well, a lot of women came from this, but you have to know you came from it to realize that it's not right and I need to change. A lot of time people have dysfunctions and not realize they have it because people turn dysfunction into the norm. And once it becomes a norm in to us, like eating something is bad for you. If you're used to eating it, it's just what you eat. Then we have to get all these studies and realize that it's giving us cancer, it's giving us diabetes. And they're like, oh, we're not supposed to eat this, but I ate this my whole life. Doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
And when people kind of gotta, I'm sorry, people have to kind of take heed to that. Once they take heed to it, then it's a way to move past it. But we can't move past it because we're still hitting that same wall on both sides.
Well, it's the chicken or the egg. You're never going to be able to. It's a broken family. So you're never going to. And that was governmental. That was the breaking of the family was part of the welfare system, part of the incarceration, part of the, school system, part of us moving away from our original culture. It's a result. So that's why I just get very infuriated when I hear videos talking about, well, the woman is this and the angry woman and she asking for too much. And I'm like, but everybody's out of place. So I don't know how you're gonna pin it on one thing or another. Which kind of segues into you had something to say, Tiff, right? You was gonna say something before.
No, I was just listening to what y'all were saying because I agree with it. And one thing Devon said, I'm sorry, Devon. That it's a long story behind his name. I'm just gonna leave that there. But one thing that he said was the Willie Lynch letter. And if you ever get a chance to read the Willie Lynch letter, any of our viewers, take a look at it because it was by design meant to break down family structure. So yeah. So go ahead. That was the only thing I was.
Yeah, no. So segueing into, because this episode is about really single. We want to talk single. We have another episode on marriage that's going to be coming up, but the single one. So the idea of being single, for me as a single person, when people hear that you're single, it kind of has a stigma, but it could actually be by choice. And so that's what, the question is now about, is there something wrong with being single, or are you okay? Because one of the things I always say to my friends is that if you're not okay with being single, the way we see the male to female ratio, and if male is your preference as a female, if male is your preference, you got way less chance of finding somebody because statistically we outnumber men for all those in prison reasons, preference reasons. He was killed. He's not interested. He's with somebody of another rate. All the reasons why our pool is now less. Plus, as you get older, the pool is even less. If you're not okay with being single, dirty water look good when you thirsty. So that's what I always, remind myself. I'm like, dirty water look good when you thirsty. If you have your certain things that you're not willing to compromise on, like integrity and stuff, very important. So I just wanted to talk about the stigma of being single. It's almost like, well, you're not married, something's wrong with you. Well, you're not with somebody, you did something. You did something, and that's why you're not with somebody. So basically, how you Valentining yourself. This thing.
And
You might be Valentine yourself.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being single.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're single, I think if you want to be single, there's nothing wrong with being single. If you choose to be single, but a lot of people don't choose to be single, they just can't. Some people can't find somebody. Like it's a difference saying, well, I don't want anyone, and I want to live on an island. To I want to be with someone, I just can't find someone. It's a difference because right now they have a million dating apps and everything else in the world to kind of lean people towards. If you want relationship, they're trying to create vehicles for relationships.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with saying I don't want a relationship. There's nothing wrong with saying I don't want marriage because I was married and I'm no longer married and I don't wish to be married again.
Right.
But those are my personal choices to I want to step out of that. I don't want to be back in that arena. There's a lot of people that want to be in that arena. And just
that's a separate that you're answering a separate question though. The question was about when you people see you as single, automatically there's something you've done. So it's not about the pool or anything like that. It's people automatically when they see you single, they automatically assume something's wrong with you or something you've done. It's not about whether you wanted to or not. It's just I'm talking about the assumption and the perception of somebody being single. So nothing really to do with the pool.
So but is it something wrong with being single? I guess that's the question.
That was the question, right?
And I think we all agree that there's nothing wrong with being single.
No.
Like, are we in agreement on that? Wait, let me just tell our audience these pre-taping, post-taping, they need to just get together. I'll say that because they're boxing. Like I'm like round 3.
No, but the question is that the question is not based on the person. The question is based on the public.
Yeah, but I mean, public perception would be you want to be it's okay. Like it's okay to not be married, but public perception would be if there's something wrong. I'm like, it depends on what the person wants. Like if some people, but what I was saying is that the public perception is people want to if you want to get married and can't get married. Like a lot of people don't want to be single. Like I was leaning it towards I heard what you said. I was leaning it towards, well, there's a lot of people that want to be married and just can't do it. Opposed to well, I just want to be free and single.
Right, but that's what I was still saying. That doesn't answer my question, which was the public's view of you as single, whether you choose to or not. Whether you choose to be single or not is a separate thing from when you meet somebody. How you doing? I'm Cindy. Hey, how you doing? Are you married? No. Well, what's wrong with you that you're not married? That's
the person that you're talking to you're talking about another person, a third party, not someone that you're looking at dating. Someone meets you and they're like,
no, you just meet people and they say,
what's wrong? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, something's wrong with you if you've either been single or have just never been married or been married before. Now you're not.
Something's wrong with them to think that something's wrong with you for being single. That was one of our other questions about relationships. When we talk about relationships, what's the goal of the relationship? Like when you meet somebody and you start dating and you all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, where's this going to lead? Are we looking at a companionship, a relationship, or a marriage? And I'll ask this question: if marriage is on the table, are prenups something that is needed or mandatory especially at this stage in life? I don't know. Let me answer this. I'll say as the still married person on the panel, I'll say
she said still.
I heard that.
You know what, y'all gonna get me in. Y'all keep pointing out the irregularities in what I say, but he's not gonna watch this, don't worry. But okay, the ultimate goal.
Show this to the lawyer.
Shut up. The ultimate goal, in my opinion, is what the two people want. So if you want just a relationship where you get together on the weekends and you hang out, cool. If you want marriage, you both want marriage, then cool. If marriage is on the table, then hell yeah, get a prenup. Prenups should be mandatory when it comes to anyone with or without assets. Some people think, oh, I don't have anything, then, but when it comes down to you getting a divorce, and we all know like 80% of marriages end in divorce. So
60, not 80.
No. That's 60 for first marriage is 80 for second.
No.
Yeah, well,
60 for the second. It's 60 for the second. It's like 30 or something, or 40 for the first marriage.
No,
60 for the second. Absolutely. I looked it up. It was absolutely. I looked it up because I did a podcast on it. My old show, I had a podcast on it. I could Google it right now while we're talking. But,
okay, yeah. So one of y'all should answer that question.
I'm gonna Google it. Y'all talk.
I was gonna say you Google the what are you Googling first?
I want to see the percentage of divorce because I did a podcast on my show. You can still look it up, Chat and Chew with Cindy, and it was talking about divorce. Okay. And divorces failed, but they're more likely to fail the second time.
Okay. Okay. Well, but then so that's the question. What are the relationship goals, and what about prenups? Like, if people are deciding to get married, should we have a prenup? Like, why are you smiling?
Because you've been speaking for about 5 minutes. We've been fairly quiet. So this is really an issue for her. Like, you can see.
Yes, because I believe that prenups I'll watch the marriage video. Prenups.
Go ahead, Devon. That's your old friend. Get him. That's your old friend.
Well, if people want to get married, I believe they should. And I think that if people are getting married older now, like they're on their second marriages or on their late first marriages, prenup should be a definite, because if you have assets and you have kids, you're going to want your assets to go to your kids or your grandkids. And that person may want their assets to go to their kids and their grandkids. So it should not be a question of if you should or shouldn't. If you have assets before you came into the relationship, you should definitely get a prenup. If you don't have any assets, if you may get assets later on in life, then you should. But you should always protect yourself. As I said before, that marriage is the only legally binding contract you can do drunk or under duress. Yes. Like, you can be drunk and sign a marriage certificate. You can't get life insurance being under duress or under the influence and get it. But marriage certificate, you can do that. So people should honestly protect their assets and protect their kids' future and protect their futures, because today's marriages with no fault divorces in most states, marriages are a revolving door. Marriage now is the equivalency of going steady. Like when we were younger. So if you're getting married now, it's like going steady. The first couple of years, you're kind of seeing if you really like the person. Why risk your home, your property, your 401ks, all the stuff that you
your retirement after you've been on the job like 25 years, and then you
Devon, please, why you rub the bear on that one. You rub the bear on that one.
I mean, that's,
you poke the bear on that one, right?
Because we've discussed it, and we were like, this is something I'm adamant about. But I'm not as I'm getting older, I don't see the need for marriage. If you're not having kids, I'm like, right now people usually get married to have a family. You're already past the family part. You're looking for a partner. You're not looking.
Yeah. It depends, because I think people also get married for other reasons that don't have anything to do with kids. It could just be the stability of, America specifically is a country.
Healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare. America is a country that favors marriage, tax return wise, insurance, medical documents, all those things. This is a country because they do realize the value of the family. The value of the family adds to the stability of a neighborhood, adds to the stability of a country, adds to, learning, financial potential. 2 is better than 1, all those things. It leads to the stability of children, because even if you don't have children, you still are responsible in your neighborhood. So family values and stuff is what this country supposedly had been built on. So that's, really the reason why
But if that was the
traditionally
case,
America favors because even if you get divorced or separated, you're kind of tax-wise, you're kind of punished for not being with somebody. Even being single, you pay a higher tax bracket because of it. So you're being punished in a lot of ways for being single. Even if even if it's your preference, the government is built for marriage. It's built for marriage.
But I think even with the government doing that, they shouldn't. If that's the case, and that's the way the government was initially set up, the marital laws are very one-sided and lopsided. The child support laws are very lopsided. So if say they want this type of unity, but when the unity doesn't work, it's such a lopsided punishment for it.
Oh, yes, it's just a deterrent. It's to keep you from getting out of it. Because you're gonna be turned off. They make it financially punishable
for
as
the
well
male
as
most times,
for
which
both,
I agree with.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
What I'll say, because I'll say this, it's mostly punishable for the male. Those are the ones that are taken for child support. Those are the ones that lose most of the custody. Those are the ones that lose the house, have to pay alimony up until the time that the next person gets married. But sometimes it's also a financial aspect to it, where it's more the person that makes the most money. But in most cases, I'll say the male does suffer. And we actually, I don't know if you watched the episode that we had where we said we would want to change some of the paternity laws, because men get stuck with so many bags when it comes to leaving a marriage or leaving a relationship that it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
so,
if you marry, you automatically it's your baby, even if it's not yours. And I don't agree with that. Absolutely not. I have 3 boys. Absolutely not.
Yeah. And I mean, for women like both of you, you both have male children. So like this, right? These laws, in a way they're governed, like it's no incentive for a man to want to be married. There's no incentive. At one many moons ago, it was basically resources for relationship and love. Now women make their own money, so they don't need a man's resources. And if you both are evenly financial, you have a kid and you get divorced, he gets taken to the cleanest. Young men are seeing this now. So they're seeing their uncles and their fathers get railroaded. So now when you look at the divorce rate, it's so low because they're looking like that's a shoddy deal. Who would and after that they try to shame men of saying step up, man up, and all these other cliche things to bring men back to the table for marriage. And a lot of men are like, yeah, out of your mind. I'll take the tax hit before I take the
lifetime hit with a kid that's not yours, that you're paying child support for, or having to lose your home that you've already had when you came into the marriage to pay alimony to a woman that's dating a guy that may be your brother. But that's a whole other thing, it's a lot of
it's a turn. Those things are a turn off, but it's the reason why you have to be you have to be with somebody of a like mind, because religiously is what I was going to say was the other reason why people get married. They believe that fornication is a real thing. Seems like a dying art. Seems like people don't believe in it anymore. And oh well, that's not a real thing. But it is a religious, which I believe in. There are religious reasons why people get married too. So you're going to play in the field and not do the marriage license. And some people are not going to want to play in the field. And so you just got to be ready. That's why I said you got to be ready to move on. If a person tells you, I don't want to be married, I don't believe in it, I don't want to be married, you got to say, okay, I'm going on to the next person. You got to be ready to move on to it's not a bitter feeling. Shake hands. You can go.
And that's if you want marriage. But if you guys
are both,
you guys are both cool with being single, cool. But without one of the other questions, I know Cindy, you said I had all the questions.
Well, I didn't read you on it, but you took one of my questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No,
one of the things that we were talking about is settling versus compromising. Now, you guys know me. Usually I date in my past life, I dated tall, dark guys. You know what? Tall, dark guys. That was my preference. And as time went on and as I started, life I don't want to say life happens, but your preferences sometimes change or
Mhm.
you compromise. Is it the same thing? Settling the same thing as a compromise? When you say, you know what, I may have been looking for the tall, dark guys, but this short, light skinned guy has all the qualities that I really look for in a man or a marriage or in a relationship. So is that
Mhm.
settling or is that compromising what you've already had as your preference?
You're
Are y'all
frozen, Tiff. I
frozen?
just want you to know
Am
that.
I?
We can hear you, but you're frozen. All right, Devon, if you could, I'm gonna go, you do it.
Okay, I got this one. Is it? I think it's not settling. It's. I think the older we get, we have
Mm,
these
whatever.
like lofty. Tiff just her camera just blinked out.
Yeah, she'll be back probably. Probably.
And,
I should
um.
ask all her questions while she's not here. Oh, she's really going. Okay, we can
Yeah.
just keep going. Okay, so
All right.
settling.
So
Uh-huh.
settling. I don't think like you can settle. Settling with someone is okay. You're looking for something you want. You're getting something you want, but you're getting it in an adult form. Like when we were younger, we kind of had these glamorous like attributes that people had to have. They had to be tall. They had to have a certain look, a certain quality. When you get older, you're looking for more. That's something that's more internal. You're looking for more of compatibility. You're looking for, are you evenly yoked, or can
Hmm.
you guys build together? Because you want, like, building with someone doesn't come with a specific look. So, and you, like, someone saying you're having a settle for somebody is,
Mm.
I'm not really happy with the choice I picked, but you're the only thing around. Like, I think that happens
Am
with
I back,
people.
y'all? I'm sorry.
Right
Yay,
over him.
she's back.
Yay!
I'm sorry.
Yay! She's back,
Yay.
guys. Yay! Yay!
But go
We
Okay,
ahead,
just
so
can't
Dev.
see
I'm
her.
sorry to interrupt you. Go
yeah.
ahead. I'm
Uh,
listening.
Yeah, I think when you settling, it's like you're just, you're in a moment, you're kind of feeling that, there's like the last song at the club and you're just scrambling to kind of find someone. It should never be a point of settling, because once you get comfortable in that settling, you may not be happy. But if you're saying, I'm going to make certain compromises in like looks, height, job amount they're making, it changes the whole outlook on a relationship.
right.
I think
Mhm.
if you're into the same people you were into when you were 17 at the age of 40, like, okay, all those things, certain qualities should still be in place if that's what you like. But the older you get, the pool gets smaller, and you kind of, like, if you want to be with somebody, there's nothing wrong with saying these aren't important. The valuable tangible things are more important than the intangible things,
Right.
like height, eye color, so on.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think um probably a good deal of people settle. Um Settle because they're lonely, settle because the clock is ticking. They have this view of a family, of a life they think it's gonna be once you get married. And like I said before, you get with the wrong person, it's gonna be like you're single and you're gonna wish you were single. Um, so I think there is a such thing as settling, but I don't, obviously, who's doing that? That doesn't, it never works out. Um, but I do think you should compromise on certain things because as you know better, you do better. So the things that were at the forefront of your mind when you were in your 20s and 30s, and even people in their 20s and 30s, I think settled because there are plenty. That's why first marriages are at like 30 or 40% because when you're young, you feel like I could just get out of this if I don't like it, which was me. I just feel like, hey, if I'm not happy, I'm out. You're not really taught
I'm like,
that.
that was me.
Yeah, you just feel like if I'm not happy, I'm out of it. And you're not really taught that it's a permanent thing. Like it's a thing you shouldn't get into because you want to get out. It's not like you RSVP to a wedding and you decide, well, if I don't like everything going on here, I'm just gonna go home. It's not like that. It's not as easy to get out of it as you would hope.
It's more
It's
binding.
binding
Yeah.
and it's costly.
Yeah.
It's costly. So I think that people that are young do settle, just like people that are older settle. And I think it's because we don't really take the time to get to know ourselves to know what we really want. what we really want, and what are the deal breakers. What are the things that I really can't live without? Because you're going to get with somebody and then you're going to be annoying. You're going to annoy them. They're going to annoy you. Y'all are going to be divorced and you're going to say marriage doesn't work. That's not really what I believe. I don't believe marriage is a problem, because marriage is a structure in my belief that God created. So how can it be that it's a failure? It's not. It's
well,
the
you
people.
keep talking. I was gonna say you keep talking marriage, but we had that conversation in our marriage episode. So you guys gotta check it
So
out
what I'm
next
saying,
week. It's gonna be the next week, because we actually, I wanted to get into the sexual
did
part
she
of it,
really
'cause
just cut me off and change the subject,
yes,
guys?
yes, because we have 10 minutes before our
But
live.
no. But guys,
But
wasn't she? Let me ask you guys. Let me take notes. Was she the one that was talking all along about how much she learned from 401ks and all of that stuff?
That was part of what you should do before you get married. That was the dating part of it. Shut up.
I never even got a word in edgewise because she was so hype.
I'm gonna talk about what Devon introduced to us as the SMV. Now, if you guys don't know what that is, it's not SWV, SMV, the sexual marketplace value, and I'll let him explain.
And I'm gonna go into the chat and start ripping her new one while he talks. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, what I've learned from the terminology SMV, sexual marketplace value, is when basically your market in society sexually. Like when, for example, when women are at a younger age, from like 18 to like 25, 30, they're at their highest sexual marketplace. Their bodies are the best it's ever going to be. They're more fertile. The likelihood of having kids without issues are higher. So they have greater options to pick from men. They can pick men their age. They can pick men older, or men older will want them because everything is, everything is together. A man's sexual marketplace value will come from, it's out of, if he's physically gifted, if he's big, muscular, tall, short, but it's mostly financial. But men's marketplace value peaks when they're older, because that's when they're at the most profitable.
No, we have to go live. Let's end on a good note. Let's end on because we wanted to talk about the pool versus preference, but I think we kind of talked about the pool, like, our dating pool and our preferences, and kind of with the characteristics of the companion. But the one thing that we can say is dating now versus 20 years ago is completely different, I'm sure. But what advice would you give a person that's just starting out dating, male or female? What advice would you give them? I'll start, because I got the floor, and I wrote something out. What I said, you have to be yourself, be true to yourself, and don't expect anyone to treat you the same way that you would treat others. You have to expect them to treat you the way you expect to be treated, or demand to be treated. And also just come as a whole person. You can't be in a relationship if you don't come as your whole self or your whole person and expect to get something out of the relationship. That's what I say. I would always say, be yourself, come as a whole person, and don't expect the same treatment. Demand how you want to be treated. That's my advice to a male or a female. It doesn't even matter. Go ahead. I know you're saying gotta keep talking. It's 7:00, isn't it? Yep.
You talk. No, I'm not gonna get you that you talk the whole time and then gonna tell me, oh, gotta go.
I know. You know what? Yeah, both of y'all. Go ahead. Who wants to, what advice would you give, Cindy?
Well, I think the main point is you just got to know what you want, and you can't let somebody else project onto you something that they want, and then you say, oh yeah, and then by the time you realize it 10 years later, you're in it and you're not happy, and then you're miserable, and then you get billed as being miserable, because if you lay down, people are going to step on you, and you got to be willing, you got to know what you want from the door. This is what I want. And you got to be able to have somebody in your ear, a trusted person in your ear, to say, this is reasonable and this is crazy. Because you know, everything you want doesn't always make sense. So you got to have a trusted person in your life to hold you accountable for, if you look, that doesn't make sense what you're saying, right? He doesn't have to have this, this, and this, or she doesn't have to have this, this, and this. And I know you, and I know that's not what you're really looking for anyway. You know, like you got to have a trusted person in your life to not push you into every relationship, but to push you, if that's, and be honest about what you want. I want to be married.
Okay.
I don't want to be married. I never want to be married. I don't want any kids. I'm not living in Florida. You know, I'm not living over here. You got to make that list, because you could get married in New York and then 10 years, he's like, yeah, let's move to California. I always wanted to be a surfer. And you're like, but wait. So just as much as you can, I mean, you don't know everything because you change. But I think as much as you can, be straightforward, and to also to watch the person's behavior, you know. And that, I think that's very important, to watch the person that you're with, you know, temperament and all of that stuff, family, how they are. And then you'll be able to make a good choice that way. But you better have somebody watching your back, because we do things that we say is for love. It was for love. So if somebody's watching your back, they're going to really call you out on it. Now, if you do what I did and go do it anyway, then you ain't got nobody else to blame but yourself.
So, Dev, you get the final word. What advice would you give to a person that's just starting out dating, a younger male or female, or both?
All right. I will first thing say, if you're young, stay on your purpose. If you're working to achieve certain things in life, don't let relationships can be a biggest distraction when it comes to future goals and future endeavors. So really kind of if you have a certain goal in mind, keep it. And if marriage is something you want and kids is something you want, really try to understand the balance of education, relationship, and career. Because a lot of time people put career in front of marriage, then later on they regret it. Then a lot of times they'll put marriage in front of career, and then they'll regret it. It's always a fine balance. It's a balancing game. So I would tell anybody that's younger, that's if marriage is really what you want, you need to kind of put yourself in a proper mind frame for marriage, put your proper mind frame for a relationship. But if you're focusing on your career and your goals, focus on your goals. But if marriage is something you want, you have to make time for it. Like marriage shouldn't be something I'll get to it later, because your best years are to meet these people are a certain timeline, a certain time frame. Those are sometimes the best years to meet people, because you're meeting people when they're growing. Sometimes you're meeting people when they've already achieved it. A lot of it comes with baggage that a lot of people aren't even understanding they have baggage. So I would say, if you have a purpose, stay on it. If marriage is your purpose, date with a purpose, have a relationship with a purpose. Just don't be out there kind of all over the place, because when you decide to want to do it, you'll have a whole life full of stuff that you got to look back at and say, man, I did a lot of stuff I really regret. And even if you don't tell your partner you did these things, you're going to come into that relationship with those regrets. You know, so anybody younger, I will always tell them kind of do that.
I like that. Okay. I think all of us, including myself, especially myself, gave good advice to these young kids, young adults coming up. And
gotta go.
I was gonna say we thank you, Dev, for coming on and sparring with Cindy. You see what I go through all the time. No, I was gonna say, wait, he's used to sparring, because look at who one of his friends.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on and just
Thank you.
actually
it was great,
giving
ladies. Thank you.
the honest, open advice and opinion, no matter how how it's perceived, how it's taken. We appreciate it. Okay, you guys,
no problem.
As always, follow us on Two Poly Chicks. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can always email us at twopolychicks@gmail. And we're on YouTube under Poly Chicks. That's the only thing we're under Poly Chicks under. Okay. See you guys later.
All right. Bye, guys.